So this is sent by a guy, one of my mods, FreeJam. He's Serbian. He was at the protest today. The police used a sound cannon while people were paying tribute to the killed. A sound cannon is a dangerous weapon that can cause permanent damage to human health. It is used in extreme cases in some countries and even banned.
Polako ljudi, polako bre ljudi, polako bre! Polako bre!
It's like, that's the kind of shit that's just like antagonistic. Literally no justification for it. Why would you do that? I'm gonna tell you right now that I don't know fucking shit about Serbia. I don't even know where it is on a map. But y'all want me to look at it and just, you know, pay respect to it? I'll do that. So what's all this shit about? What are they mad for? It's a train incident? Isn't your mod Serbian? Yeah, I think I have a Serbian mod. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Is Southwest from Romania? That doesn't help. Doesn't help. Your mod is there, by the way? Wait. Wait, one of our mods is here? Like, in this video? Yes? Bro. Damn, I had no idea. He posted a lot in the mod chat? Wait, really? He said they used a sound cannon during the 15 minutes of silence? Wait, I'm seeing it now. Holy shit, yeah, we got a mod here. Oh my god, bro. So it's tweeted Elon DM on tweets? Yeah. Hitler didn't message retweets. Hitler didn't murder millions. I'll look at that in a bit. Let me look at this right now. That's him on the right. Yeah. So what's this? Yeah. What is this? Like, why is this happening? Like, I'm trying to figure this out. What's it about? Yeah. Because I never heard anything about this. I didn't see anything about this. Yeah. No, we actually do have. Because one of our main mods is from Serbia, and he's not here today because he's busy. This is insane. So 800,000 people? Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. Look at all these people. So how many people are out there, you think? A fuck ton. It's a lot. Damn. I didn't know it was anything like this. Holy shit. Damn. And they got the police in there. And the thing is, though, is like a lot of this, like what's crazy is that... Oh, jeez. You know, we try not to look at that. See, why couldn't we do this when they passed Citizens United? I don't know why we couldn't have done this ourselves. Yeah, or Epstein? Yeah. Are protests are lame? They are. And it's always violent and destructive. And nothing's on fire. Look at that. I'm sure there's property damage that happens, right? Just having that many people around, but like, damn. That's incredible. Holy fucking shit, man. You can't even see the... you can see the road a little bit, but not really. Oh my god. Wow. This is incredible. Look at all that. Oh my god. This AI? I don't think it's AI, bro. He says also, Chad, I can't see it mentions. I appreciate y'all so much. Yeah, no, like, I mean, we support this absolutely. Yeah, if this is what I think it seems like, which it probably is. Oh my god. I guess this is what a true majority looks like, unlike in the US. Yeah, I mean, if they have 1 million people that are out protesting, and it's a country with a population of 6 million, this is like a super majority amount of people that feel this way. Yeah, wow. This is what a united front looks like? Yeah. And also what a civilized country looks like. There's nothing on fire. There's no, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a few bad actors, right? Looting. But like in a general sense, it seems like no. And by the way, you know what we want to know what else is what's really interesting here? Is you go back and you look at this right here. No, different video. It seems like a lot of these flags are Serbian flags, right? Like, I feel like a lot of these, this is a Serbian flag. Yeah, so, like, that's the other thing, is that here in America, whenever left-wing people protest, they fly flags that are not American flags. Isn't that crazy? They burn the American flag. They're flying a flag from like a rainbow flag. The Mexico flag. The people fly, yeah, this is people protesting for their country. Not for some fucking foreign country. It's embarrassing. Yeah, bro, this is embarrassing. Look at this and compare it to like those clowns in a Tesla dealership. Like keying swastikas into cars. It's pathetic, bro. The almost identical protests in Greece. Their better term, criminal government negligence. It's in Greece too. Man, I just hope that I hope people in Serbia don't let themselves like, cause whenever this shit started to happen last time, they started playing really into that identity politics bullshit. Don't let yourself get hoodwinked by that, man. Like these people, that's all they want. They want you to hate each other instead of hating them. And be peaceful? Yeah. Yeah, don't get hoodwinked and riled up into being violent. Yeah, they're basically trying to rile people up so they can justify using military force. Y'all think that's what it is? Why would you do this? Can you show a video? Can you show a video on what a sound cannon is? Yeah, I see how I pull it up real quick. So it's something like this, probably. The whole government is full of the worst humanity can offer. The weaponized version is low frequency. Yeah, look at this. Is that Starlink? I think it is, right? Because I've seen one of these before. Wow. Look at the trees. Oh, what the fuck? I'm gonna mute it. Just look at the trees. Just watch the trees. This is insane. I don't know if I've ever seen a protest this big in my life. Like this actually probably is one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. Ukraine? I don't know about protests in Ukraine. I like this probably is the biggest one. I'll post it Discord. Yeah. You post it in Discord too. It's the biggest for its population. Another POV of the sound cannon? Okay, yeah, because I want to see that happening. Okay, so here's the sound cannon again. So the government, just so we're keeping score, the 15 people that got killed, everybody orchestrated a 15 minutes of silence, right? This isn't 15 minutes of looting, 15 minutes of burning down a Tesla, 15 minutes of carving swastikas in order to fight against Nazis. This is 15 minutes of silence for the 15 people that got killed. You about to happen? If this was a riot and they were destroying everything, I would say based. But this is not a riot. There's no violence happening. There's nothing that justifies it. It's outrageous. There's 100% violence happening? Really? Because like if I'm sure that you have 1 million people, there's somebody that has bad intentions. But to act like this is happening on the level, no, bro. It's minuscule, yeah. Remember how I said like the BLM ones were like 93% peaceful or something like that? This is like 99.999, like 0.93%. Let me see if I can find this. So there's a video about this, how corruption kills Serbian protesters. Let's see if I look at this.
In 1883, Novi Sad, one of Austria-Hungary's largest cities and the biggest Serbian-inhabited city at the time, got its first train station. The building was nothing out of the ordinary and similar to many others in the empire, and mainly connected.
It seems like the first half is the setup and the second half is coverage for the riots. So we'll watch the first half just so we can understand how it got here. I'll link you guys a video. You can watch the rest if you want.
City with other parts of Hungary. For decades it functioned normally, serving the local population to get around. After Austria-Hungary was disintegrated and Novi Sad was annexed by Yugoslavia, the city started growing in importance, with many new Serbian and Bosnian settlers flooding to Novi Sad. In a relatively short amount of time, the city grew to a size that was beyond the capacity for its infrastructure. As such, the communist government at the time embarked on a journey to renovate and expand the city to fit the needs of its citizens. One of the main infrastructure projects conducted by them was the demolishing of the old train station and the building of a new, more centrally located one. Hence, in 1964, the Novi Sad train station as we know it today was built. The station was built in a classical brutalist style and serviced connections throughout Yugoslavia and abroad, and quickly became a popular gathering place for locals. For years, the train station remained untouched and stood the test of time, proving to be reliable and quite efficient in servicing tens of thousands of passengers. Most notably of all, it became one of the defining buildings of the city and beloved by many. However, sometime in 2022, the mayor of Novi Sad, Miloš Vučević, announced that
Is this where it begins?
That after 60 years, the train station was going to be fully renovated as a part of the fast rail project between Belgrade and Budapest, funded and executed in great part by the Chinese government.
Was that Beijing?
The renovation project would be undertaken by a Chinese construction company, starting and would be executed via joint efforts of Serbia and China.
All right.
This was seen as nothing special, as for several decades now, China has been a key partner in developing Serbia's infrastructure and overall the infrastructure in the Balkans, with countries like Hungary, Greece, and North Macedonia openly working with the country in the strive to develop their nations. However, because the train station in Novi Sad carried such tremendous cultural and historic weight, the importance of the project was tremendous, and any and all botching of the project would reflect horribly on the ones responsible. As such, in 2023, in the effort to boost his PR and political standing, Serbia's president, Aleksandar Vučić, announced that he would come and visit the construction project.
Is this the guy that was in the house that was on fire sitting on a pile of money?
project, an event 3 in the effort to boost his PR and political standing. Serbia's president Aleksandar Vučić announced that he would come and visit the construction project, an event which would be broadcasted across national television. In an effort to make the project's progress look good, the construction started to be rushed, with many corners being cut. In one of the reports published by Zoran Djajic, an engineer working on the project, Zoran stated that he submitted a photo to the authorities where behind one of the panels there was pieces of concrete. The concrete was partially missing and was substituted with cement jackets crushed in order to fit smaller pieces of concrete inside the construction. In another incident, Djajic also apparently asked for the marble slabs in front of the building to be checked for the substrate under them and to repair the substrate and put up new marble slabs. Instead of doing that, allegedly, the project artist just repainted the panels even though they needed to be fully replaced.
So, if I'm understanding this correctly, like, this is like repairing, like the Lincoln Memorial or, like the Smithsonian Museum or something like that, right? Like, this is like a big cultural iconic place. Like Grand Central Station. Yeah, that's a better example. Wow.
Notably, in the same year of Vučic's visit, before the project was finished, the news agency 021.rs asked the Ministry of Traffic to get documents about the reconstruction. However, the ministry denied their request, claiming that the Chinese project contractors do not wish for the documents to be available to the public before the end of the project. Besides that, one of the newest additions to the train station was the renovated canopy, which was envisioned to be reconstructed by having heavy glass, concrete, hard metal frames, and a green surface above it added. Many of the additions to the train station were not in the original project documents. Even so, in 2024, the train station was officially open to the public in a grand televised opening, even though, according to Serbian law, after the reconstruction of any building before it can be open to the public, it must possess an operating permit. The railway station did not obtain this. And so, for several months, the train station became again used by thousands, and even more than before, considering Serbia now hosted a fast rail linking Belgrade and Novi Sad together, two of the country's largest and most important cities. And soon enough, the fast rail would extend all the way to Budapest, which would make the train station even more important. However, on November 1st, just 4 months after the train station was opened, its canopy, weighing over 300 tons, collapsed and crushed.
So you're telling me this thing fell down? Holy shit.
Was opened, its canopy, weighing over 300 tons,
people.
collapsed
and that's the 15 minutes.
14 people, instantly killing them, gravely injuring 3 others, and killing another one 10 days after succumbing to her own wounds from the collapse. A tragedy which was almost unparalleled in modern history of the nation, and an event that completely shocked the entire country. Immediately after, 3 days of mourning were declared in Novi Sad, and 1 day in the entire country. People started hitting the streets en masse to mourn together and hold a period of silence for the victims. However, the Serbian government had different priorities. In the immediate media reports, most of which are controlled by the government and current ruling party, the Serbian Progressive Party, or colloquially known as SNS, the reports started stating that the old canopy had collapsed and how the canopy was not renovated since 1964, whilst at the same time completely glossing over the amount of victims the tragedy killed and their identities. This was preposterous and nothing less of dumping an entire bag of salt onto a gaping wound, and many Serbs saw it as such. Almost immediately after these reports were published, several engineers came out and publicly challenged the notion that the canopy was not renovated. Quickly after that, pictures started popping up showcasing the canopy before and after, clearly indicating
they did fuck with it, because how do you put the lights in there? These are lights. And then look at this frame. Like, this is They just painted? No, bro. I don't think it's just painted, bro. Like, because if you look at this, there had to be a fixture in there, right? Yeah, and yeah, a fixture means wiring. Yeah, exactly. So they had to have gotten in there.
Indicating that indeed it was affected during the renovation. In an aerial view of the building, the new canopy's design could be
So
clearly seen, with green soil right on top of it. According to one theory, the soil which was put on top was not accounted for properly in the final calculations. It is believed that if the soil was
that's like probably got to be multiple tons, right? I mean, if you have that much dirt, how do you fuck that up? So basically, these like struts or whatever that are like meant to hold it up were not changed, but the weight of the canopy was changed. Am I understanding this correctly? There's no way, right? Like, the soil adds water? That's a good point. No, you're right.
To hold on to moisture from rain and other weather conditions, which would further increase the strain on the structure's support. Examining the damage where the canopy broke, cracks and tears in the concrete could be seen where there were no beams, as well as rust in the metal that was tying the canopy to the main structure. Furthermore, in the original...
So they renovated everything except for the thing that holds it up? Because that would be harder to do? And then they added more weight on top of it? That seems like the dumbest fucking thing. And expensive, yeah. Oh my god.
Where the canopy broke, cracks and tears in the concrete could be seen where there were no beams, as well as rust in the metal that was tying the canopy to the main structure.
Yeah, sure.
Furthermore, in the original project plans, the attic was envisioned to be empty, but later on, glass was added on top of it. The design upon further examination appeared to be flawed from the get-go.
Someone brought up a good point. Not just the weight of the water gets into concrete, it freezes and expands and destroys it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the reason why we have expansion joints in sidewalks. It's because of that same type of chemical reaction. Yes. So they didn't even... Not chemical, excuse me. What a bunch of fucking morons.
Weight of the canopy was mainly supported by cantilever beams instead of columns, which would have provided additional load support, especially in the case of the additional weight added on top of it. The evidence was damning, and the people were expecting answers. However, the elected officials would refuse to give any statements regarding the project, nor release further documents on the project, instead choosing to focus on preserving their image and PR.
I feel like this is such a common trait. When people don't want to explain things, there's usually a reason for it. You know, like, because in my opinion, yeah, you should just be able to just come out and say, like, yeah, this is what happened. Right? Because if it was a mistake, then it's a mistake. In concrete construction, there's a saying, there is cracked concrete and there's concrete that hasn't cracked yet. All concrete will crack eventually. That's why you put in control joints, so it cracks where you want it to. And I'm assuming that's probably the reason why when they do a controlled demolition, that's probably the reason why they can have it go directly down, is because these buildings are made out of concrete and the infrastructure is built off of that. Yeah. Sort of. At least that's part of it, yeah. I'm not always... I don't know.
as you can imagine, did not sit well with the public at all.
Yeah.
The station, as I mentioned before, was extremely popular since its inception and used by thousands daily, be it to commute to work, university, home, or just to hang out with friends. Virtually every student in the region used the station regularly,
train
and
station
virtually
for
it
ants.
could have been any one of them lying under the rubble.
Yeah.
And so, immediately after the government denied accountability, thousands rushed to the street to protest. 4 days after,
assume
due
so.
to the immense pressure from the public, the Minister of Construction, Traffic and Infrastructure, Goran Vesic, resigned. During his resignation, he still maintained his innocence and the lack of involvement in the project.
Why'd
Even
you
though on
resign?
numerous occasions before, he was constantly in PR videos promoting the station and his party's works in pushing Serbia forward. As this was going on, the independent media was working diligently to uncover and publish documents related to the renovation works of the train station and uncovering the roles of those involved in the command chain of the project. The public started calling for the apprehension and jailing of those responsible,
I wonder why.
mainly the state
See,
higher
this
up.
this is exactly this is what people need to do here. Is you gotta find out the people that let this shit happen and put them in jail. That's the problem. Is that nobody ever has any skin in the game, so everything's a theoretical.
The government, seeing it could not hide the disastrous
Criminal
collapse
negligence.
of the
Yeah, you
canopy
need
under the rug.
you need direct human accountability with direct human consequences. Unless you have that, all you have is an abstract consequence that doesn't matter to anyone.
Then proceeded to shift the narrative in an effort to avoid blame, to also finding and prosecuting those responsible, starting up an investigation and interviewing around 50 workers in the lower end of the project's chain of command, essentially trying to find an adequate scapegoat to shift the blame. Although more and more documentation was hitting the public's eye, the state's prosecutor's office, however, remained silent,
What a
and no action
surprise.
was being taken to prosecute those responsible for the tragedy. What was enough, and even more people went to the streets to protest, with a large mob of protesters forming right outside of Novi Sad town hall, with the public demanding that the government
Wait, so this has been going on because this video was released 3 weeks ago. I never even heard of this.
actually do something and prosecute those involved in the reconstruction.
It's been going on
project.
for 4
The
months.
protest held was peaceful.
So
with-
is it now reached kind of like a fever pitch? Is that effectively what's happening here? You did? You just ignored it? No, I wouldn't. I would remember ignoring it. Maybe I heard about this one time, but that was it.
people gathering around to make noise and scream their demands at the government. However, amongst this crowd, several fully masked persons appeared who started vandalizing the town hall and nearby buildings by breaking their windows and spray painting graffiti over them. Within the town hall, a police force was stationed tasked with protecting the building. However, despite only a handful of these masked persons vandalizing, they took no action whatsoever to prevent them, even though the thousands of other protesters condemned the vandals as actions. The same night, President Vučić was scheduled to come and visit the city and hold a speech regarding the tragedy. However, instead of going to any public space or building, Vučić only visited SNS party buildings. Upon his arrival, most of the SNS venues were severely vandalized.
See, this is the problem that people have is that, and this is an issue that happens now with protests as well, is that you will always have troublemakers and agitators inside of a protest. So you can't, like, unless the protesters are actively hiding and protecting the people that are violent, like, these are paid actors. Well, they're paid actors in some cases because they're looting, right? And they could be paid actors as well. I'm not really sure. Those are police, by the way. Well, what I'm saying is that you have 99.99% of people. I just watched the videos. Not doing this. Even this, the windows aren't even broken. Really.
With their windows being broken, red paint scattered all over the venues' exteriors, and the Serbian flag being ripped apart. Now, unlike in other countries, predominantly Western ones, where flag desecration is seen as a valid form of protest and more or less
Yeah.
a regular occurrence,
Yeah, we
in
do it here.
Serbia this is far from the case. Serbians, no matter their political orientation, deeply care for their state and flag. Desecrating the Serbian flag in Serbia is virtually unheard of and incomprehensibly frowned upon, as the flag is not seen as representing the government, but the people. The flag being ripped apart and the police not taking action in preventing the town hall vandals aroused suspicion that the government was behind the violent attacks in an effort to bastardize the image of the protesters.
This is something that a lot of people are theorizing happened with January 6th as well. Now, notice my language here. I'm not saying that it happened. I don't have enough information to confirm that it happened. But this is something that is very common. Agent provocateurs? Yeah. But speculation? Well, I think there should be an investigation into it. Occupy Wall Street too? Yeah.
Move that is unfortunately very prevalent in the current Serbian political landscape.
So this is very
and has
common.
been seen numerous times before,
It's a pretty
as was the
effective
case
tactic,
with
yeah.
the bulldozing of the 12 buildings in Savamala. Suspicions first arose when Vucic held a speech in front of one.
And this is the same thing that happens here with like other people that are violent. Is that, and it happens with BLM too. Like you have a lot of people. There's like two categories, right? There's the people that are committing crimes because it's either advantageous or they're trying to make money by like, you know, breaking into a store. And then you also have the people that are paid provocateurs. And I like, if you were a George Soros, not George Soros, but a person like that, would you want to pay people to make a group like this look bad? Absolutely. And let's go ahead and take a very personal, like, you know, very narrow look at it. Do you guys know, like, in my subreddit, how, like, we'll have people that post, like, racist stuff and, like, their name is, like, you know, Austrian mustache painter fan 1488. And, like, they're hoping to get it upvoted to the top. And so, like, that way they can make me look like a racist or something like that. Well, like, that's the kind of stuff. I've never seen it. Yeah, you haven't, because we delete it. Because it gets deleted and they get banned. But, like, we had somebody do that yesterday, for example, right? You check the VOD. And so anyway, it's false flagging, right? So, like, if this is happening to my subreddit and I'm just a streamer, what do you think the odds are it's happening to governmental protests? Oh, I don't know. 100%.
SNS venue where he made a fuss about the desecrated flag and how he'll put those.
And also, here's another example, one more. Do you remember back whenever I played World of Warcraft and then I moved over to Final Fantasy, how there were WoW players who were cosplaying as Final Fantasy players to make Final Fantasy players seem toxic, so I would go back and play WoW? That was crazy. That's why I lost my shit? Yeah. So, like, if people are willing to do it over an MMO, I think they're willing to do it over a government.
Done that to justice. Again, completely glossing over the tragedy and victims and trying to antagonize the protesters. The same night, the police dressed in civilian clothing made their way to the protests and arrested 14 people, mainly peaceful student protesters, whilst the vandals disappeared with no trace. The next day, after the town hall protest, the government held a session in which they condemned
So they weren't able to get any of the vandals? That's interesting. I wonder why.
Protesters and publicly accused the opposition for organizing them.
Wow.
In an effort to show how they were doing
convenient.
something, several ministers resigned and 12 people were jailed due to the fall of the canopy. Amongst the jailed persons was Vesic and another minister. However, just after a couple of days in custody,
Wait, no, I know this part of this show.
both were released, while the 14 students remained in prison. As rumor has it, the incarcerated ministers were provided with newly renovated rooms with comfortable beds specifically suited for their needs, while at the same time, the imprisoned students were placed in cold rundown prisons with pests, parasites like lice, and mold being present. This just further made the Serbian populace's blood boil, and protests started erupting all over the country, with thousands organizing and blocking traffic in silence. In one of the traffic blockade protests, a student student was physically attacked by several passerbys, whose identities were later revealed to be of several SNS functionaries. On November 25th...
What did he say? Sorry, I didn't understand. What did he just say there? Later found to be what? SNS functionaries. Oh, okay, that's what it was. And SNS is not Sword and Shield. That's the new party that was explained at the beginning of the video, right? So these are political... So the people that were found out being violent were actually just party-affiliated people. Serbia Progressive Party, yes. That's crazy.
Whose identities were later revealed to be of several SNS functionaries. On November 25th, due to the attack on one of their students, the University of Dramatic Arts in Belgrade rose up in a mass protest with the students taking over the campus and establishing a blockade of the university. The students made their demands simple and public: release the identities of the attackers from the previous protest and prosecute them in full force according to the law.
How is that even a debate? Why would that not happen? Is this what happens when you have student protests that aren't revved up by social media? I mean, I guess they have social media over there, but like they're not revved up by like fucking American identity politics? People actually care about the things that matter, like government corruption and accountability. It's like this is what we should be having this here.
Things start to snowball as this event sparked even more protests and traffic blockades, with more and more students and civilians coming out to...
And keep in mind, all of this video was released 3 weeks ago, February 22nd. So if you haven't heard about this at all, that's crazy, right? That's crazy you haven't heard about this at all.
Country to a halt. However, as more came out to the streets to protest, more violent clashes started occurring, with more passerby attacking the protesters, and several vehicles even running students over. Meanwhile, all this chaos was unfolding, the prosecutor's office was still not taking any action, with no indictments nor convictions taking place, and the attackers freely walking away. With the people's voice falling on deaf ears, the students took matters into their own hands. Day after day, one university after another got taken over by the student body, and a spring of blockades erupted, with classes grinding to a halt. As of writing this video, all public universities in Belgrade, Novi Sad, Niš, and Kragujevac have been taken over by students and have been blockaded, while even more public and private universities are joining their ranks. Unable to be ignored, this hit national and international news, bringing the Serbian government into the limelight. In typical fashion, government officials would state to the press that these protests...
He does look like the Chud Jack. He does. That's crazy. Wow. That's insane.
Are funded and organized by the local opposition and foreign powers, providing virtually little to no evidence to support their claims. To be fair, on one of the protests, two notorious oppositionary MPs, Dragan Đilas and Marinka Tepic, joined the protest and took pictures holding one of the banners, after which they immediately left. However, the students directly slammed the government accusations by refusing any and all party affiliation, acting completely as sovereign actors. You see, unlike many other revolutions, the Serbian student one was organized without ideological grounds. The student body rising up is composed of many people from all corners of the political compass. The main demands of the students are the complete publishing of documents of the train station reconstruction project done in the mutual effort by Serbia and China, dropping charges of the arrested student protesters, for the police to officially sue the persons who attacked students and professors protesting, as well as a 20% increase for university funding, while in Novi Sad, the students have additional demands, those being that the mayor, Milan Đurić, and his predecessor resign. The organization and idea for...
I would assume so, yeah.
The blockades was almost exclusively spread via word of mouth and social media. The decision to blockade a university was made via a democratic vote, with many universities utilizing their student portals, giving each student the option to decide whether or not for their university to declare a blockade, with the vast majority of students voting in favor. Additionally,
that's crazy. 98%? So this isn't like here where there's like a small subset of people that are like coming in and doing it. This is like basically everybody fucking agrees on this, right? Yeah, that's a bit of a majority. And also keep in mind, what 0.7% are like, yeah, I don't know.
Additionally, the blockades have been organized into their own representative bodies and delegates whose members are democratically elected and changed if the group sees them as not fulfilling their elected duties, with no one person being the face of the movement. Within the blockaded universities, anyone who is not a student and doesn't possess a student ID, known in Serbia as an index booklet, is denied entrance. Alongside this, the media is also barred from entering unless the blockading students democratically vote to allow them inside. Although
so they still are allowing people to go to class. It's not like they're blocking other students from going to class. Huh. There is no class. Oh, I guess there would be no class because, yeah, nobody's there because everybody's protesting. It's weird because my American brain says ignore student protests. Well, the thing to keep in mind with a lot of like the student protests that are here, and this was discovered last year with a lot of the protests on college campuses, is that a good number of the people that were there were not even students of that university. They were just there. They were cosplaying. They were problem starters and problem havers. Yeah, I don't know about paid actors, right? Some of them I think were stupid for free, but that's it.
Several political parties reached out to help support the students. They have all been rejected. While the main way the students sustain themselves is via the donations regular citizens make, with many pensioners regularly stopping by the universities and bringing them food in an act of solidarity. Since the eruption of the
I think that's a really big surprise too, is that it seems like there's a generational solidarity with that too. Yeah, that's a lot.
Revolution, the government has constantly publicly diminished them,
pensioners means old people, right?
By foreign powers, and called on them to abandon their posts and return to studying so they can work for a side that's actually looking out for them, implying the current state. Although initially the president claimed that the students are attempting to overthrow the government, later he claimed that all their demands have been met, showcasing empty registers that were allegedly all the documents about the railway station, whilst also printing out allegedly random words on a piece of paper and again showcasing it to the public, claiming these were all the important documents relating to the project and claiming that they were now published as they were shown on television. After these attempts proved futile, he then claimed he already met all the demands and, to sweeten the deal, promised to give subsidies to young people for the purchase of their first home. However, the students continued protesting as they stated that the president of Serbia does not hold jurisdiction over the institutions that are responsible for meeting their demands. The student body also claimed that they are demanding for the proper work of the Serbian government institutions and for them to do their job. Even so, after the announcement was made by President Vučić, on the official state website, documents regarding the renovation project started to be published. Alongside this, the budget increase for university funding was adopted. But this was yet still far from the demands imposed by the students, and the blockades continued. In backlash, the government continued to diminish the protests, claiming that more students oppose the blockades than they support them, even though
98%.
Universities decided via a democratic process to enact them, and the
number... I mean, like, democratic, that's not even, like, I feel like that, like, 55-45 is a lot different than 98 to 1.3%, right? Like, that's a bit of a different majority there.
Clearly state the opposite. Further, student bodies from ex-Yugoslav republics voiced their support of the Serbian protesters and organized morale-raising events for them. Nevertheless, On December 22nd, 2024, the largest of the protests was held
This
in
was 4
Belgrade
months
at
ago.
Slavia Square, where over 100,000 people gathered
Wow.
and held 15 minutes of silence for the victims of the train station canopy. While the period of silence was held, thousands turned on the flashes of their cameras to show their presence. Following afterwards, the protesters made their presence known by making noise via whistles and vuvuzelas. The president of the National Assembly, Ana Brnabić, claimed that the protest was aimed at Aleksandar Vučić, and the government again tried to diminish the protesters by claiming there were only 25,000 people present.
Yeah.
According to the government, the state utilized a custom-made software for counting people at protests, and that's how they got that number. Later on, they backtracked on the statement that there were only 25,000 people counted, but 18,000 instead. As of right
Wow. So, well, maybe they did have this software. Maybe the same people that designed this, the same people that designed the software are the same people that probably designed the fucking canopy. It seems like you got a bunch of retards in there making stuff and making these decisions. Don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah. What is this? It's a joke.
in this video, the students and the government are in a standstill. Although some concessions were made by the government, the majority of the demands are still unfulfilled.
Yeah,
Mostly
what a
those relating
surprise.
to bringing the ones involved in the train station project and those attacking students to justice. The biggest event that transpired since the Slavia protest was the resignation of the Prime Minister Miloš Vučević, after several protesters were attacked, yet again, by SNS functionaries during a protest in front of...
So this is the second time that people that were functionaries of the political party that's in control attacked people? Is this accurate? I just want to make sure that I'm like, I'm keeping up with this. More than second time in this video that it's referenced.
SNS venue, which ended up in one woman being taken to the hospital. However, the status quo of the country being at a standstill due to the blockades remains, and more smaller universities located in smaller cities and towns join their peers. In addition to this, it is theorized that the Serbian Ministry of Security Information has been trying to target students by creating websites where the student protesters would be doxxed via their full names, faces, and addresses being showcased, and malware and spyware infecting protesters' devices. In one instance, two dual national citizens of both Serbia and Croatia had their Croatian passports published in the government-owned press, which is a severe breaking of the law. And moreover, the media intensified their witch hunt over the two dual nationals by claiming how they were a part of the Ustaše Croatian Nazis, with the
Is this the Ustashi, the ones that like did like all that fucking like really bad shit that even the Nazis condemned because it would be so bad it would destroy the morale? Yeah, yes. Okay, so Jesus, it's all no, this went back to World War II. Reality, yeah. This all sounds familiar? Yeah. What the no, these guys, you look it up. The Ustashi, basically, the Nazi leadership criticized them, and, you know, fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but the Nazi leadership criticized them because they were so brutal and so terrible that effectively they would end up galvanizing the public and the people against them because of how bad they were. Super Saiyan Nazis? Yeah, basically. They call any Croat involvement as Ustashi. It's the easy scapegoat. Huh. Why are you not liking this? They have stuff that they're doing Palestinian protesters? Well, the reason why is that, number one, the difference between this and the Palestine protests is that, number one, these are being done by students, actual students, not provocateurs that have come in from outside the university to start trouble. Number two, this is about government corruption and accountability for the government rather than accountability for a university. Number three, the amount of property destruction is extremely minor compared to what's happened in America. So, and there's also not a lot of people, it seems like, that are running defense for it. Number four, there are multiple cases where there are people who are in plain clothes that are hurting protesters and then discovered later on to be agents of the state and the political party that's in control, and there's no accountability for them. Number 5, you're having the protesters get doxxed by the government themselves and have things played at them. And number 6, I would say also, is that the majority is much different than with the Palestine protests, where you're looking at the people that voted for this as a over 98% ratio versus like with the Palestine protests where no vote was ever really taken. So for you to compare these two things, now I understand this is very good Twitter engagement bait, right? Because at a surface level, to a stupid person, you would see a discrepancy here. But when you actually think about this for more than 2 minutes, you could easily see the difference between these two things. And you can see why this is a much more respectable, reasonable thing to be protesting against versus the Palestine protests, which, by the way, I was okay with. I just wasn't okay with the destruction of property and the not allowing people to go to school. And I could probably come up with other reasons too. Those are just the top 6 that came to my mind. But no, they're not the same thing.
The only evidence supporting this claim, at the blockade where they were active, the students utilized a Croatian cookbook. Furthermore, the media propagated the insane theory how the cookbook was supplied to them via the Stasi secret services with instructions. However, the students have refused to budge and refused to be intimidated until all their demands are met, with many spinning the situation to humor by creating...
Yeah, the memes, bro. They're bringing out Yu-Gi-Oh!, Exodia, Better Call Saul. Uh-oh.
Creative and hilarious signs to scrutinize.
Yeah, these are really good.
Furthermore,
DBZ?
although President Vučić and his party, SNS, have created more or less a one-party state and have established
the
a
old
strong
Apple
voter
commercial
base amongst the middle-aged and senior population, their support has started to corrode as many of them have kids and grandkids who are
see,
involved.
this is a pretty big difference, is that, and also another difference culturally between this and the Palestine-Israel thing, is that I think a lot of older people, and especially people who are retired here in America, have more of a cultural alignment with Israel, and a lot of younger people don't have that same cultural alignment with Israel, and so they view Palestinians as much more of a respectable cause, and like a like they don't see it as like, you know, Israel is like this ultimate good. Peaceful protesting using memes. American Palestine protests uses violence and innocent people. I wonder why more people care about Serbia protests. Yeah. It's just not even remotely close. And also, by the way, another thing is like the people here are like, the people in Serbia are flying Serbian flags. That's another big fucking difference to me.
In the protests and have been targeted directly and indirectly by the government. Many farmers and lawyers have also joined the protests, with many of them now coming with tractors to major protests, which they utilize as shields against the police and cars that would attempt to run over the protesters, which as a whole has severely damaged the trust in the current ruling party, making the older population, which has been the party's loyal voting base, re-examine their stance towards the government. As of most recent events transpiring, 2 major 24-hour protests occurred on the Belgrade highway near the city, and 3 on the bridges in Novi Sad.
Oh, that's true. The Palestine protests did have American flags. They burned them. That's a good point.
Which were blockaded symbolically for 3 hours for the 3 months that the protests have been going on. While another protests occurred on the Novi Sad Freedom Bridge, which was blockaded.
And also, by the way, I know that you're going to have so many disingenuous people. If you refer back to my coverage yesterday of the protests about Mahmoud Kamil, I didn't criticize those protests at all. I disagreed with them because I agree with him being deported, but I respected their right to protest. And you can go back to the VOD from yesterday and you can refer to that and see that I've been consistent with that.
For 27 hours, which allegedly
People are
has
fighting
been
with
the
ghosts.
largest protest, overshadowing the Slavia one with over 300,000 attendees. Right now, it is unknown what the result of this revolution will be, as the student body refuses to budge, and due to the mass scale of the people involved, the government cannot utilize direct force to disband the protests. Doing so would be political suicide and potentially open Pandora's box for a revolution Serbia hasn't seen since the fall of Milosevic.
Jesus Christ. So, like what? So like, can Serbia push for like like an emergency election? Can they do that? There's not one fat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can, no, not really. Like, yeah, recall. Yeah, because I just don't know what their what do you call it? What their rules are. This is another person. Why'd you lie about not doing? Diddy? Destiny's fans harass Hassan. Am I scared of Destiny? Like, scared of Hassan? I'm sure Destiny's fans did harass Hassan. I'm sure that happened. Yeah, I believe you. That's not even like it. What are you talking about? I never even said that.
Such, they must tread carefully, as one wrong move can be the end of Vucic and SNS as we know it. Hopefully, the students will be able to get all their demands met with their fight. Perhaps the Iron Curtain of corruption in this country can come to an end, and Serbia can see brighter days for its citizens where no man
this is
above
insane.
the law.
Oh my god. I'm actually glad I watched the whole thing. Wow. Holy fucking shit. Thought you said you'd watch half the video? Yeah, I did. Bro, you already saw on Thursday Destiny's Community Brigade sometimes? Yeah, they do. Yeah, for sure. This is incredible. And I guess the bloody hand is like, I guess it's probably like the victims of the people. Like that's basically what's going on here. Let me go back. I'm going to double check about this. And, holy fucking shit. Yeah, this video was really good. This is a great video. Here, I'm going to link it to you guys again. Give it a like. Living Ironically in Europe. This is the channel that made it. Yeah, hands of the politicians covered in blood. Well, I mean, kind of accurate, right? I mean, yeah, definitely. Europe tour win. I mean, I'd be down to go to the Balkans, for sure. Yeah. Why not? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've known plenty of people that have lived there for sure. Did you see Kanye's Twitter? He posted a song with Diddy's son. No, I didn't see that at all. And I'll read a few comments about this and go on. There were 800K people today on the streets. Oh my god. Yeah, so apparently the 100K number might have been referencing the thing that happened multiple weeks ago and not today. There's this thing, a problem with the Balkans. Usually protests like this become a battle of attrition, and in the end, the government wins, and they just don't step down. And if they do, their friends take their place, so nothing changes. You know what? I bet you're right. I do. I don't know anything about their... I bet you're fucking right. Oh, that sucks. Wow. And sounds about right. Yeah, the protests are also very violent, but you're not seeing the clips. I'm sure there are some people that are violent in the protests, but the difference is that, like, I haven't seen a single picture of a building on fire. And that's different than what we have here. Now, maybe I just didn't see it, but I feel like it's not the exact same thing. Yeah, is that BLM? Yeah, exactly. So there is none, right? And so he's right. And I'm sure that there are shades of gray, and the people that are violent, I think everybody agrees on this. Probably if there's any Serbians in chat, they agree that the people that are using this protest as a platform to be violent and destroy property, I bet they probably want them put in jail too. Like, nobody likes this. Nobody wants this. It's weird. Like, that's what's so... It's so weird that America's had this problem where we have to act like we're fucking... we're on the side of these people that are violent criminals. It's insane. Sometimes the violence is instigated by the party that want to portray themselves as the saints. Well, the fact that they didn't release the identities of the people that were apprehended for being violent, that makes me think that they were inside agents. It does. This is, by the way, a total fucking conspiracy theory. massive conspiracy theory. I don't really know this. But like all I'm saying is that, this seems interesting. I wonder why this is happening.